The people who live at Brightside Manor need some help with their daily lives. They don't need the kind of medical care that you get in a nursing home. Brightside gives them what's known as assisted living. When you talk to people at Brightside about the lives they've led, you hear some amazing stories. The story Margot Rothstein tells is frightening, but it has a happy ending.
That took me to the concentration camp and my parents to Auschwitz. I was 3 years in concentration camp.
Both her parents were killed by the Nazis. Mrs. Rothstein doesn't talk directly about the horrors that went on all around her. She focuses instead on how she managed to survive.
They sent me to a paper factory to work, to roll the machinery. And we were glad that they gave us a job, that they didn't send us to Auschwitz. We were by 75 girls. So we stayed there till the war was over. They kept us. They promised us that they keep us. And they did. We worked for them. They took the money. They didn't give us the money. But we didn't care about it, as long as we were safe.
She spent 3 more years in a displaced persons camp where she met Jack Rothstein, another survivor who was made an administrator there.
We got married in the camp. No big wedding, just to the rabbi, and that was it. We didn't need it. And we stayed there 3 years in Germany, in the P camp, because we couldn't get out. We had to wait till they okayed the papers. Took them 3 years to okay the papers.
When they finally got permission to immigrate and boarded a flight to New York, Mrs. Rothstein was about to give birth to twins.
Thank God my kids were born here. They're Americans, real Americans. They were born on the east side in Beth Israel Hospital. And thank God I'm doing fine. I like it, Sometimes I miss Germany. The big city, and all that. I was brought up there. But I'm here, I'm happy.
Elaine Leighton tells a very different kind of story. Her childhood dream was to be a professional drummer, and that dream came true.
My family, I said to my family, I want to play the drums. I want to do this and play the drums, and I drove them crazy.
How old were you?
I was about 6 years old. And so my mother said to my father, we have to do something with her. And I don't know what's going to be. So I got the interest in this drummer, and he said to my parents, he said, she is going to be very, very unique. And that's voila.
By the 1950s, Elaine Leighton's uniqueness earned her a place in a trio formed by the swing pianist Beryl Booker. The Booker Trio toured Europe and performed with Billie Holiday.
I had the honor of playing with a lot of musicians, as they had the honor of playing with me. So that was good. Tony Bennett, I played with him.
These 2 remarkable women, as different as their lives were, what they do have in common now is that they don't need to be in a nursing home. When they and their families went looking for an appropriate place, there weren't a lot of good choices.
One would think that it would be better, but it's actually gotten worse, because what's happened is when I took over Brightside in 1990, there was a list of probably 24 boarding homes and RHCFs in Bergen County that were available to this population. And again, some weren't so great, but they were at least there, and they were an option. Now they have, I don't think there's one. Maybe there's one left in Bergen County. And so what they've been replaced with are assisted living facilities, which are part of an industry that, again, is relatively new. They've only been in existence in New Jersey since 1993 or 94, and as an industry they have targeted affluent older adults, and they have built many, many beautiful, very attractive assisted living facilities that provide probably wonderful care and services, but at prohibitively expensive rates. And so the middle-income older adult who can afford to spend $4,000 to $5,000 a month indefinitely has nowhere to go. And so many older adults are either remaining in their own homes and communities with inadequate support services around them, or going into nursing homes where they don't really need that level of care, but they need some care, and that's really the only option available to them.
Most of the assisted living is just too expensive for families to do it, and I think just out of necessity, because they run out of money, they put these people in nursing homes that really don't belong there. We moved her from the Bronx to New Jersey. We wanted her closer, and we moved her to a place in Ridgewood as an independent living was our original goal for this, but it had turned into an assisted living, which was still fine for us. They were feeling that they needed to put her on a level of care, which in their terms is just adding money for little things in this case, such as they had to prompt her many times to go and get her medication, or prompt her to go, it was mealtime. And for those luxuries, they wanted to charge you for that. And so they were looking to add $21,000 a year to her care.
What first gave you the idea to take over a place like Brightside?
Well, it was to find an answer to a problem that I was seeing as a hospital social worker. I was working at a geriatric unit at Newark Beth Israel Medical Center, and we were finding that our patients had nowhere to go. They were coming into the hospital, maybe they had had a stroke or a hip fracture, or they had some dementia, and they really couldn't go safely back home to their apartment or home where they had been living. They weren't taking their meds properly, they weren't eating well, they really needed more supervision and support, but they didn't need to be in a nursing home, and there was nowhere to send them. So my mission was to create a facility that would meet that need, but the key would be that it would be affordable. When I walked in here, I went, this is it. And it was homey and warm and welcoming, and it was like a living room. You know, you walk into a living room, and the fact that the residents are all so talkative, and they all stay out of their rooms at night. And she's out of her room till 9 o'clock at night, and it's made her socialize, and the people are friendly. You know, they say hello to each other. It's kind of like a frat house. It really is. And it's made her more social. So I would say that our expenses are probably comparable to any other assisted living facility, for-profit or non-profit. We have the same types of food costs, insurance costs, personnel costs, and we've been fortunate at Brightside in that we have a very stable staff. We have very little turnover. We've had great success at recruiting just wonderful, caring, dedicated employees. I do have a grant from Bergen County that allows me to offer subsidies to people who are not eligible for Medicaid, nor can they pay the private rate, which is essentially the Medicaid rate, which is roughly $2,500 a month. So if someone is falling through the cracks and they need a bit of a scholarship, I have some money through the county that I can dip into to offer a scholarship. But it's a struggle. It's an ongoing, everyday challenge. We fundraise. We you know, we do what we can. We don't have a marketing department. We don't have a development department. So as I said, we all wear lots of different hats.
Besides wearing many hats, the director gives extra duties to the kitchen utensils. On no particular schedule, she hands them out to anyone who wants to perform with a group called the Ladles.
I thought that was crazy. And then, you know, I just clammed down and I said, oh, come on, Elaine, just do it.
There are roughly 1 million Americans in assisted living facilities. Their average age is 85. The number of people 85 and older was 4.2 million in 2000. By 2010, it will be 6.1 million. Those numbers tell us why they're suddenly building homes for the affluent. The National Commission for Quality Long-Term Care, after 4 years of study, recently concluded that America is going to need a new way to finance both assisted living and nursing homes, perhaps including national insurance similar to Social Security. The heart of the problem is how we pay for long-term care. This quotation is from Newt Gingrich, who co-chaired the commission. You've probably noticed that there are more women than men at Brightside. Nationally, it's 76% women to 24% men in assisted living. It's probably not only that women live longer, but also because men resist the idea of group living more than women. The number of people singing with the Ladles has been growing, but so far, no men.
Well, we have one gentleman who really loves singing. And I'm not sure why he doesn't participate with the Ladles, but I think part of it is because he's very old school and he likes the old standards.
Nick Del Rey served with the Army in the Korean War and worked as a cutter in the garment industry. Lucy DeVries was a tennis instructor for the deaf in Manhattan.
Almost everyone has there's a lot of educated teachers, professors, and here we are.
It really moves me when I see them taking care of each other. We have one resident who's very, very frail, and more often than not, other residents will actually step in and take care of her. Not because there isn't a staff person nearby, but because they really develop relationships with each other, and it's extremely meaningful to me to see. But I think it's also meaningful for them at their age to feel that they still matter.
When we're younger, we don't want to think about not having all the capabilities we have today. But the reality is, a lot of us will need assisted living, no matter how accomplished we are now. There will certainly be good days and bad days, and Elaine Layton probably will always feel like she's a better match for Billie Holiday than the Ladles. But we'll still be quite capable of happiness. For the 61 people living there now, there is a bright side. The question is, will it be there for the rest of us? To learn more about how and why America should deal with the challenge of financing long-term care, Visit the site of the Bipartisan Commission, co-chaired by Newt Gingrich and former Senator Bob Kerrey. That's QualityLongTermCareCommission.org. For more information about assisted living facilities and how to evaluate them, go to the Consumer Consortium on Assisted Living. That's a national organization that does consumer education and advocacy. The Industry Association, the Assisted Living Federation of America, has a website with consumer information and a good collection of links, including state agencies. For nonprofit facilities, there's the American Association of Homes and Services for the Aging. Its website covers policy and government issues as well as consumer information. And there's more about Brightside Manor at brightsidemanor.org.